Well, good evening. My name is Bill Purcell, and I'm director of the Institute of Politics, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome each and every one of you to the John F. Kennedy Jr. Forum tonight. The Institute this evening has the distinct honor of hosting two of the most important leaders of the labor movement, in fact, two of the most important leaders in this country, AFL-CIO President Richard Trumka and President Emeritus of the AFL-CIO, Mr. John Sweeney. The AFL-CIO, with 57 affiliated unions and 11.5 million members, represents teachers and it represents minors. And tonight, the people in this room are very much aware of the families in West Virginia who are tonight hurting and hoping. And I think it's important for me to say that I know that those families are in the prayers and in the thoughts of many of the people in this room here tonight. The AFL-CIO represents firefighters, it represents farm workers, bakers and engineers, pilots and public employees, doctors and nurses, painters and plumbers, and Harvard employees. More than 5,000 Harvard employees. I have the special honor of introducing John Sweeney. He was first elected to public office in 1959 as district leader in the Bronx. One of his campaign workers is joining us here tonight in the front row. That is his wife, Maureen. For the students in the room, let me just say straightforwardly, public service can provide a job, public service can provide a career, and public service can provide a family. It worked for John Sweeney, it worked for me, it could work for you. Mr. Sweeney's first job in the labor movement was with the International Ladies Garment Workers Union, which he began representing shortly after graduating from Iona College in 1955. He then joined SEIU Local 32B in New York City in 1961 as a union representative. Mr. Sweeney went on to become president of Local 32B and then president of the Service Employees International Union, which nearly doubled in size during his 15 years of leadership. In 1990, well, all right, go ahead, SEIU. In 1995, John Sweeney was elected president of the AFL-CIO, where he served 4 terms from 1995 until 2009. He stepped down this past September and became president emeritus. Stepping down his leadership, Mr. Sweeney vowed to become, and I quote, a union warrior at large. He is also a resident fellow of the Institute of Politics. Please join me in welcoming a warrior and fellow, John Sweeney and Richard Trumka.
Thank you very much, Bill Purcell. Let me start by thanking the Institute of Politics and the Kennedy School for arranging this forum tonight, and especially Bill Purcell. And thank you all for joining us here this evening. I'm happy to see a number of trade unionists here, and especially the leadership of some of the state organizations, Massachusetts and New Hampshire, and others as well. The work that's being done here at the Institute on Politics is a great work that's going on. I've enjoyed being a fellow in this semester and seeing Bill Purcell, the staff, the faculty, and the other fellows who are here with me in this semester, all doing some outstanding work. I'm thrilled to come before you tonight to introduce our speaker, Rich Trumka, the president of the AFL-CIO. But as Bill has noted, I'm also saddened, as I know all of you are, at the news from West Virginia that at least 25 miners have died in our worst coal mine disaster in more than 25 years. As you all know, Rich is a coal miner, His father and grandfather before him were coal miners. So I know he bears the grief that the rest of us can only imagine. But we want him to know that we share his sorrow and the sorrow of the families who've lost brothers and husbands and sons in this awful tragedy. When I nominated Richard Trumka at our last AFL-CIO convention in September last year, I said that no person was more ready for the job of president of our Labor Federation. Like his dad and granddad, he started off working in the mines and then decided to go to law school at Villanova and became a local union leader and a staffer with the legendary United Mine Workers of America. In 1982, he decided that the United Mine Workers needed to be restored to its rightful, proud place in history. He ran for president of the United Mine Workers. With the murders of Jock Jablonski and his family still a bloody smear on his union, he restored union democracy and reformed the mine workers, and then marched them proudly back into the AFL-CIO. Rich led not one, but two of the biggest, most successful strikes in the history of the labor movement. First at BCOA, and then at Pittston Coal. When a company-friendly judge refused to lift massive fines levied in the Pittston strike, he took the case all the way to the Supreme Court, and he won. So please believe me when I tell you that Rich is more than a worker, a labor lawyer, a reformer, a labor negotiator, and a labor leader. He's a labor hero, our hero. As you will soon hear for yourself, Rich is one of the most powerful and persuasive speakers ever in our movement. But he also knows that words are useless without action, that speaking to power has to be matched with counterpower. During his first year in office, he's been taking our movement to a new level of action, leading our struggle for national health care reform, fighting to restore our economy and put people back to work, and repaving Wall Street with new responsibility and new regard for working families. Rich, thank you for joining us all here this evening, and thank you for your lifetime of service to our labor movement. Ladies and gentlemen, Richard Trumka.
Good evening. Thank you, John. I'll never be able to express how much I owe to you and how much the American labor movement owes to you for your leadership and for your friendship. And the Institute of Politics is very fortunate indeed to have you as a fellow this semester. And the students, I can only say you've gotten one of the biggest treats that you ever get in your education, because this man is a visionary and he's a friend to every American out there. John, thanks for all that you do. I want to add my thanks to the Institute of Politics and Bill Purcell for inviting me to be here with you tonight. I very much appreciate it. I'm going to talk tonight about anger, and specifically the anger of working people. I want to explain why working people are right to be mad about what's happened to our economy and our country. And then I want to talk about why there's a difference between anger and hatred. See, there are forces in our country that are working hard to convert justifiable anger about an economy that only seems to work for those at the very top of the pyramid into racism and homophobic hate and violence directed at our president and heroes like Congressman John Lewis. Most of all, those forces of hate seek to divide working people, to turn our anger against each other. So I want to talk to you tonight about what I believe is the only way to fight the forces of hatred, with a strong progressive tradition that includes working people in action, organizing unions and organizing to elect public officials